There is a podcast that lies between the imagination of two simple-minded earthlings. Travel with these two longtime friends, Jimbo and 80s E, as they attempt to explore the fifth dimension. Follow along with them as they take the key and unlock the door to the vast space between shadow and substance. This podcast is one of trivia, of insight, and of sounds and ideas from one of the greatest television shows ever produced. You are embarking on a timeless journey. There is your signpost up ahead. You are entering the tragedy of cinema's Twilight Zone.
Incident 100 miles off the coast of Guadalcanal, time the present. United States naval destroyer on what has been a most uneventful cruise. In a moment, they're going to send a man down 30 fathoms and check on a noisemaker, someone or something tapping on metal. You may or may not read the results in a naval report, because Captain Beecham and his crew have just set a course that will lead this ship and everyone on it into the Twilight Zone.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Tragedy of Cinema podcast, the Twilight Zone series. I am your host, Jimbo, and today I'm joined by You Know Him, You Love Him.
I don't know who you're saying because you said you know him, you love him, I guess. Oh, well, I'm Bond in Texas. Does that count?
Yeah, that counts. We love you, Bond.
All right.
This is 80s E in Indy, awaiting the national championship game. This is a Sunday night, and what's love all around tonight, except for this episode, maybe. Jimbo, why don't you tell us about it?
Well, Eric, we are, we're in season 4 of these hour-long episodes, and boy, just when you didn't think things could get any worse from episode 1, we dive right into this episode 2 of season 4 called 30-Fathom Grave.
Boy, you want to go into the grave after you watch this, right?
Right. Yeah. So let me go ahead and give a little plot summary of this. So
please do.
The listeners can be aware. So as a U.S. Navy destroyer cruises near Guadalcanal Canal, which is a large island with coastal towns and defense rainforest, plus historic sites related to World War II battles, for those of you that are interested in history. In the South Pacific, its sonar detects muted but constant hammering on metal under the sea. The eerie sounds emanate from a submarine on the ocean floor. Apparently, that's been there since World War II. The ship's chief boatswain's mate becomes very nervous, having served aboard that sub, and he was its sole survivor, David Stevens.
Yeah. So, 30-Fathom Grave. We already talked about this is the second episode of season 4. This one comes in with an IMDb rating of 7.2. What do you guys think? Is that about right?
Well,
lower,
me and Bob were
higher?
talking before you got on here.
Yeah.
I said, Eric's going to come on here and he's going to say, well, IMDb gives this a 7.5.
I will.
And so he's going to be like, I'm going to give it a 7.3.
Yeah.
I think that's way too high.
Yeah.
Personally.
Way too high for this one.
Yeah.
It was hard to watch this one.
Yeah.
My mind kept wandering off, and I was like, oh yeah, that's right. And I'd come back.
Let me be honest. I'm going to go ahead and dive on a rabbit trail.
Yeah, let's go.
I think the story was a great story. It really was. Okay. The problem is, once again, we have this episode that was a great story stretched into an hour episode. This would have been a perfect half-hour episode. You didn't have to keep diving down to the bottom of the ocean, multiple times, having the same talk with the captain. And how many times are we going to see the one guy with that stupid look like, oh, where am I at?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? His facial expressions drove me absolute insane. It's like, which way to go, George? Every time. Oh, I'm in sick bay. Oh, let me come up again. It just absolutely drove me insane. They could have squeezed this down into a half-hour episode, and it would have been perfect.
Yeah. Well, I think
But
originally...
I'm just on a rabbit trail at the beginning.
No. I think originally...
Disagree. What do you guys?
No, I totally agree. He was so frustrating. all through this episode, I kept going, okay, this is a better ending. This is a better ending. How about if it ended this way? There was like 4 or 5 times I was watching it going, I could come up with a better twist at the end than the way this one ended.
Yeah, it was kind of a letdown. I think it originally was, we'll get into the nuts and bolts of it, but I think it originally was formatted. Rod wrote it for a 30-minute and he had to change it. So let's jump into that and we'll find out some nuts and bolts and the character. I don't know who that character Jimbo was impersonating. I'm assuming it was Bell, the ship's mate's, whatever his name was. But anyway, season 4, episode 2. This one had an original air date of January the 10th, 1963. And hang on to your hats, folks. The total production costs, boy, this is our benchmark now. This is our new benchmark. The costs come in at $116,274. We just keep breaking records every week on production costs. Now, I think that might have to do with the fact that they used actual footage from an actual destroyer, and we'll get into some of that here in a minute.
So let me ask you a question, Eric. You may not know this. I don't know. But when they went from season 3, from the half hour to season 4, when they went to the hour-long episodes, was it for a budget cut? Is that why they did it?
Oh, you mean just fewer episodes over the season, but each episode costs more money, but
look at it
in the long run, they save money. Is that what you're saying?
But I mean, did CBS or whoever had this, they say, okay, well, here's your budget per episode. And if they were going to do that, why didn't they just stick with half-hour episodes? Because if you're spending over 100,000 an episode, that's 50-something thousand a half-hour episode.
Yeah, there's 2 episodes. Yeah, so
I don't know the
answer to that.
I don't either. I have it in one of my books, and I forgot to pull it up. But I thought that'd be interesting to find out too, if it was a Rod Serling thing, or if it was a production company in CBS or whatever that forced them to go to hour-long episodes.
See, I always thought it was because this is season 4, so the network realized, hey, we have a hit on our hand.
Right.
So instead of trying to find another 30-minute show to wedge in at, let's say, 7:30, let's just make our hit show an hour long.
Okay, but
because we already know we have the viewers.
But if you have a hit show on your hand at a half hour with 32 episodes a season, that's 32 weeks of being in the rankings. Now you broke it down to 18 episodes at an hour, so you've lost half of your viewers that you would have gained throughout the years. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, why don't you look that up and get back to us?
I will on the next episode of the Twilight Zone.
Bond did mention something that I think I vaguely recall reading, is that like the production manager, CBS president, somebody said, hey, we've got some open slots that we need to fill. We already have this hit TV show. And then the idea was proposed. I could be wrong, but then the idea was proposed, hey, why don't we just extend what we already know works and make it an hour long, and then we'll kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
If they were going to do that, why didn't they sign it for 32 weeks or 36 episodes at an hour long?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think they had a gap in, like, they needed time slots that they needed to fill. You know what I'm saying? So they had an extra 30 minutes that they didn't have in production. So they just said, why don't you just make it an hour instead of 30 minutes, and then we can fill that empty space.
You know what they should have done? Looking back, they should have ran the half-hour episode and then had a half hour with Rod Serling interviewing the cast members.
That'd be nice.
I think that would have been really cool. Go ahead.
Kind of like they did. Well, kind of like they do with The Walking Dead. They would have The Walking Dead, and then right afterwards they'd have The Talking Dead, where they interview the cast and stuff like that. So that would make sense. Yeah. I just assumed that Rod Serling and some of the other people in charge of the show were probably complaining, saying, "Hey, we have all these stories to tell, but we can't squeeze them into 24 minutes." And so they probably went to the network and said, "We need more time. Our shows, there's so many ideas, so many stories we want to tell, but we can't do it in 24 minutes. We need more time."
Yeah. Good questions.
Well, I hope he didn't after putting this thing out.
I'm not saying they didn't regret their decision. I'm just saying.
Yeah, they went right back to 30-minute format the next season.
Apparently it doesn't work.
Yeah.
I think it costs too much money.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about our favorite segment in the episode.
On this day in history.
All right, for this episode, the air date was January the 10th, 1963. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier or not. Let's go all the way back for this day in history. 1949, Gene Roddenberry. Does everybody know who Gene Roddenberry is? I'm sure that we do.
Creator of Star Trek.
Yeah, he applied for a position with the Los Angeles Police Department. So he wanted to be an LAPD officer, apparently. I didn't know that. This was in 1949, so different times. 1952.
That would have been awesome. I would have loved it. Imagine no Star Trek and he was an officer. That would have been cool.
Yeah. Maybe he loves those uniforms, Star Trek uniforms.
Star Police.
Let's skip ahead a few years
Troopers?
to 1952. And this is a movie that I started out watching 2 nights ago. And it is called The Greatest Show on Earth, directed and produced by Cecil B. DeMille, starring James Stewart and
great show.
Charlton Heston. And it premiered in 1952 on January the 10th. And it won a Best Picture award in 1953. And I fell asleep, so I don't know. I got maybe.
I don't think it was the best show on earth if you fell asleep.
Yeah, exactly. I was like
show on earth.
a quarter of the way through, and it was about the circus, and I didn't get very far, but I'm gonna be committed and trudge through it. January
we did for you on this episode.
Yeah, January the 10th, 1956. Elvis records his hit single "Heartbreak Hotel." So there you go. That's a pretty famous song. And he did it at RCA Studios in Nashville, Tennessee. Now, here's a sports moment that I'm sure we all remember because we're Generation X. So on January the 10th, 1982, in the NFC Championship at Candlestick Park in San Francisco, the 49ers defeated the Cowboys 28-27, and quote, the catch, an iconic moment in NFL history. Dwight Clark makes a fingertip touchdown catch from Joe Montana with 58 seconds remaining, and San Francisco goes on to win the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. It's a cool moment, right? That wasn't the actual Super Bowl game, I guess. Then. Oh, wait. Yes, it was. Yeah, that was a Super Bowl game, right? Now, was that the same game? Have you guys heard the legend where Joe Montana, he goes into the huddle, and he's looking around in the crowd, and he goes, hey, that's John Candy sitting in the crowd. And he tells all the guys in the huddle, have you guys ever heard that story? And it was like in the middle of like the Super Bowl and the biggest game of his life. And he was like, he noticed John Candy sitting in the stands and then goes on. And,
okay, John Candy's a big man, but how do you notice him from in the stands?
Yeah. And I can't remember who. I mean, it might have been Dwight Clark that told that story. I don't remember, but I remember seeing that on a YouTube clip or something. January the 10th, 1986, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar of the Los Angeles Lakers scores his 34,000th career point during, this is a homegrown piece of trivia. They beat the Indiana Pacers 124-102, and he was, for a long time, the only NBA player to reach the milestone at that time, and he held that record until 2023, until one LeBron James broke the record. So I don't know how you guys feel about LeBron James, but yeah.
Let's see what else happened in history.
That's an awesome segue. So this is the last piece of trivia. January 10th, 1995, The Late Show with Tom Snyder premieres. Remember that show? He was like sitting around a desk.
Did you ever stay up late enough to watch him?
I did.
He was like on after the other 2 or 3. Man, he had a great voice.
It was at 12:30 a.m. and he hosted that program until 1999. A couple of birthdays. I'll start with this one because I want to hear Bond sing for me. January the 10th, 1943, one singer-songwriter, Jim Croce. You know any Jim Croce songs?
I do.
What Jim Croce song do you know? And I'll see if
I got a name.
Yeah, that's one.
I got a name.
Time in a Bottle.
You don't tug on Superman's cape.
Now that's a song
don't
right there.
Pull the mask off the old Lone Ranger, and you don't mess around with Jim.
There you go. Never mind. Jim
That's
with
awesome.
Jim. Yeah, Bad Bad, Leroy Brown was one of his songs. But anyway, he was born in Philadelphia in 1943 and passed in 1973. And another singer, born January 10th, 1945, British rock star Rod Stewart, who is...
Go ahead, Bond. Take away Rod Stewart.
currently with us.
Stewart. If you want my body and you think I'm sexy.
That's
Better
awesome.
watch out. Rose is going to come barging in there.
Yeah.
He's going to come in here and go and cut.
Oh man. And then finally one last birthday, January 10th, 1949. American boxer heavyweight champion George Foreman was born, and he passed fairly recently, 2025, excuse me. He has
just about a couple months ago.
Yeah, he has all kinds of awards. He was a heavyweight champion in 73, 74, 94, 95. Remember, he had that big comeback in the mid-90s. He's an Olympic gold medalist.
It makes a great grill.
Oh, man, the best. Well, he was born in Marshall, Texas in 1949. So that concludes this day in history. We've already talked about some of the dates and the money and all that stuff. Just real quick, there's only one date of rehearsal. And again, just like last episode, there's like 5 days of filming. So from October 9th to October 16th of 1962. And then there's some details about how they set up some of the captain's cabin shots and some other things I won't bore you with. I want to hear from Bond. I want to hear about this cast. Especially I want to hear about, well, there's one guy that I really want to hear about. And
there is one hidden star.
Yeah, I'll let him tell us about it.
There's a hidden star.
You know what? Don't make him mad.
I will not make him angry.
You wouldn't like him when he's angry.
Hey, this episode's directed by Perry Lafferty, who also directed the last episode.
Yes.
He directed this.
And he'll direct the next episode too, I believe. I think he's in the next one too.
He produced shows like All in the Family, MASH, Mary Tyler Moore, those kind of things. This one's written by your boy, Rod Serling. This episode stars Mike Kellen as Chief Bell, everyone's favorite character, Chief Bell. He was in The Wackiest Ship in the Army. He had a role in The Jazz Singer. And his last acting role was a movie called Sleepaway Camp.
Movie?
Sleepaway Camp's terrible. Yeah, but it's so bad that it's actually pretty entertaining.
It is funny.
He actually passed away before the movie came out, so he never actually got to go to the theater and see it. It also stars Simon Oakland as Captain Beecham. I thought Captain Beecham was pretty cool. I like the captain in this one.
Yeah.
He was in the movie Psycho. At the very, very end of Psycho, there's like a doctor or a psychiatrist that gives his diagnosis.
Yes, I remember.
Of Anthony Perkins, and that's Simon Oakland.
Oh, okay.
He was also in the movie West Side Story and lots of television, like hundreds and hundreds of episodes of television. He's what I call that guy.
Yeah.
You see, you recognize his face, and you go, hey, it's that guy from so many television shows.
Yeah, he was always cast like from what I understand, like a heavy somebody, like his character in this episode. Yeah.
Guy in the episode, sure. David Shiner plays Doc Matthews, the doctor in this one. He was in The Greatest Story Ever Told. They Call Me Mr. Tibbs. Lots of television also. He was in like the Planet of the Apes TV show, Hawaii Five-0, anything that came out around that side. Here's a cool thing. David Shiner is still alive. The doctor on that show, he's still alive. He's 98. So happy birthday to him, man. 98 years old. Our diver, McClure, is played by John Considine. He was in the TV shows like Taxi, Dynasty, 8 is Enough, A-Team, Murder, She Wrote. Lots of television actors, right? But here's the one everybody was hinting about. This episode also has a character named Smith, played by Bill Bixby.
Yeah.
Bill Bixby. Now, depending on what area you're from, some might recognize him as the lead in one of the co-leads in My Favorite Martian. But we all know him as David Banner, the Incredible Hulk.
Hey, is there? Let me ask you guys this: has there ever been a sadder intro or outro music than that thing?
No.
He's just walking in the rain. It's like he's all
like his flannel shirt with his like duffel bag, and
he can't make friends. It's because every episode ends tragically. He's like, "Hey, possible romance? Nope. Hey, I made a friend. He died." Every episode is terrible.
Yeah.
Bill Bixby. He plays Smith in this one. I liked it. It's one of those roles where, I saw him and I was like, hey, it's that guy. And it took me like half a second to realize like what I had seen him in. So that's pretty cool. Conlon Carter plays Ensign Mariner. He was on a lot of Westerns, Gunsmoke, Death Valley Days, those kind of things. And that's pretty much your cast on this one. There's a lot of minor characters, but really it focuses on the captain. It focuses on Bell. It focuses on the doctor. That's about it. Yeah. And maybe a McClure a couple times as he dives down, but 5 or 6 main characters and everybody else is just in the background.
Yeah, going back to Bill Bixby, before the days that they made billion-dollar, superhero movies, we had guys like us had to get our fix from the Incredible Hulk on TV, Lou Ferrigno, and
Well, that and there was Batman 66 that was in syndication.
Yeah.
And do you guys remember? There was a Spider-Man TV show.
Yes, I remember. It was
I loved it, but it was you tried to go back and watch it. It's bad.
It's terrible.
I mean, and there's also what was a Captain America, but then they started doing the movies. You remember like the Incredible Hulk meets Thor or whatever with Bill.
Those are pretty cool.
They're pretty cool, but they're so. I think Daredevil's in one, right?
That's pretty nice.
But
they always try to sneak
that was
in like these
our Marvel Cinematic Universe back in the day.
Yeah, there was nothing. We had to.
That's when the DC television was king because you had Wonder Woman. You always had Superman shows of some kind on.
Wonder Woman.
Yeah,
so,
Wonder Woman. I watched that I remember being like 4 or 5 and watching that. It was like television. It was all television back then.
Man.
Yeah. So, but Bill Bixby did a great job. Here's what's weird is I wonder why they named him David Banner, because in the comic book, and he's Bruce Banner.
Oh,
he's always Bruce Banner. And like even in the modern Marvel Cinematic Universe,
really,
he goes by Bruce Banner. He's always Bruce Banner. So why is he David Banner?
There's a whole thing to that, Bond. I actually researched that out. So. That's a can of worms you don't want to.
Yeah, let's not open those right now.
But Bill Bixby, I don't know if you guys ever watched, later in his life. I mean, it was a tragic end. Like I saw, I think it was like Inside Edition or one of those shows. They showed him he had like lung cancer and he was like living in a trailer by himself.
Really?
It was so sad, man.
So life imitated art, then, right? It's a sad ending.
You think Lou Ferrigno would have helped him out, man?
I know.
Imagine.
Last year.
But imagine if you went to like a con and Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno were sitting at the same table.
Oh man, you'd have a meltdown.
Picture right in between them. Yeah,
that would be awesome.
Remember the Mr. Rogers episode where he went behind the scenes to the Incredible Hulk? Did you guys ever see that?
I'd have to research that. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, he wanted to take the fear out of the kids, so he went behind the scenes and showed the makeup and the wig for the Incredible Hulk. Anyway,
they also brought the Wicked Witch of the West on there.
Yeah,
Mr. Rogers.
She was on there too.
The kids are scared of her.
Yeah. Anyway, we're way off track here. Let's get back. Let's come up
Bond.
30. Let's come up 30 fathoms. That was my fault. Let's come up 30 fathoms and get back to our episode here. Act 1, we'll call this The Disturbance, and we'll just plow right through here. April 1963, a U.S. Navy destroyer patrols the waters of the Guadalcanal on an uneventful really mission. Sonar detects a strange rhythmic metallic sound coming from deep below, like someone banging on steel. Now I have a question for you guys. Did you guys find this sound a bit annoying by the time you got to the end of the episode, the constant banging on the because I was like, dude, maybe if it was 30 minutes, it wouldn't have been as bad as we've already talked about, but it was rough listening to that banging the whole time. So the crew locates a submarine resting on the ocean floor. The Naval Command reports no recent losses in the area. So our first inciting incident, we meet, well, I guess you call him, the captain's kind of the main character, but we meet Bell, right? He's the deranged, haunted, psychologically disturbed crewmate. He's called Chief Boatswain Mate. That's his official title. So I had to look this up. So a Chief Boatswain Mate, I hope I'm saying that correctly, or a CBM, is a senior enlisted rank in the U.S. Navy responsible for supervising deck operations, training personnel, and ensuring maintenance of the ship's equipment and safety. They play a crucial role in seamanship tasks, including anchoring, mooring, and small boat operations, which that, if you remember in the episode, that's what he's getting dressed down for, because he didn't do his job in securing, I don't know if it was like a dinghy boat or something, I forget the technical term, but the captain is really giving him the business, right? Because he didn't do his job. And this guy is obviously having some troubles. So.
Yeah, he complains that he's not feeling well. That was his excuse.
Right.
I just haven't been feeling well. And they said, well, did you go visit the doctor? Did you go
the sick bay,
the infirmary?
Yeah.
It's like, no.
So he's already, Bell, we meet him. He's in trouble right off the bat. He's ill. He's uneasy. That's kind of how we would describe him. He reacts strongly to this idea that the sub might be haunted. He starts acting a little bit sketchy when some of the guys start joking around that it might be haunted. So here's another question for you guys. I know Bell is supposed to be tormented and confused and mentally burdened or whatever, but this bothered me the whole time through the episode. What do you guys think about his delivery? To me, it seemed very slow and choppy and like bad acting. It just seemed like I wanted to yell out, man, just spit it out, dude. Like he couldn't get his lines out. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, they had an hour-long episode to fill. So they're like, you're saying your lines too quickly. Slow it down. We'll add some more sweat. Because he was always sweating like crazy. Right. And I was like, why is he so sweaty?
It was like a struggle when this guy was, I know that's how he was supposed to sound, but it just seemed like way more over the top than what it needed to be. And then when he's looking in the mirror and he smashes the mirror, and I don't know, it was a little bit annoying at times. So Bell, obviously, he's exhibiting strange behavior, right? He's disoriented in sick bay. He's fainting. He has all kinds of agitation. And God bless that medic, because he was the kindest guy on the ship towards him. And he really had to reel him in several times.
But his facial expressions just got me. It's like setting up cross-eyed, like, and I was like,
so over the top.
I understand, but
right.
We understand you're struggling, but I don't know. It was just almost like
it seemed fake.
Like I was on that TV show making faces. That's what it looked like.
Yeah.
I understand it was over like Bond said, it was really over the top. Now, let me ask you a question. And this might go in later, but Bond, you guys had already talked about him seeing the images in the mirror and smashing the mirror and all that, correct? So, we're all thinking that it's in his head, correct? That he's having a mental break.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then explain to me the seaweed on the floor when the doctor goes out into the hallway and there's seaweed on the floor where he had seen the dead sailors
right
there. So I think what you got to keep from that point on, what you got to keep in your mind is this just an hallucination in this guy's mind, or is this something real that we just don't see? It's like a balance between the both that you're struggling with to realize.
Yeah.
Some kind of weird clue that maybe it's not all in his head for sure.
Right.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of
the doctor never says anything about it.
That's the beauty of the Twilight Zone, right?
Scumbag.
They keep you in suspense. They keep you guessing. What is it really? Is this real? Is it a ghost? Is it psychological? Right. That's the whole, which, oh man, I'm getting way ahead of myself. The payoff was terrible in this episode.
Let's keep
going
on track because we'll talk about this all night.
Yeah. So he's uneasy. And so we moved. There's rising unease, of course. And one other thing I wanted to point out and talk to you guys about, let you guys discuss. McClure, this diver, I don't know how many times he was supposed to go down in the 30-minute episode, but it seemed like this guy was up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. He went down like 50 times. And the captain's like, oh, how cold do you feel? Oh, well, you're going to get colder. Go get a cup of coffee.
A cup of coffee because you're going back down one more time.
Yeah, that pour guy just went down like 100 times.
He's going to get the bends.
That's what I was going to say. How far is 30 fathoms? Does anybody know?
That's in my trivia. I think it's about 120 or 130 feet, I think. Because a fathom,
it's beyond where fish swim. Because there are no fish in this episode.
No, there are not. So that's Act 1. Let's talk about Act 2 briefly. This is the revelation. The deepening mystery, McClure, the diver, he retrieves the submarine's number, which is 714. Beecham identifies it as a World War II submarine lost in 1942. And against all logic, the possibility arises that someone might still be alive, right? So we've reached the midpoint of the episode. Beecham requests an emergency rescue operation. Of course, McClure, he has to go back down again, and he receives no response from the hull once again. But he recovers a dog tag this time from inside the wreck, and the dog tag belongs to Chief Bell. So when Chief Bell is confronted, he reveals his secret. Hey, I was on this ship 20 years ago when it went down, and he accidentally exposed the boat's position during combat by moving one of the, I don't know, lights.
Like a filter, right?
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Bond. It was a light situation. So in the midst of all that, the sub was destroyed, and it sunk to the depths of the deep, right? And Bell, he was the only survivor. He was the sole survivor. And Bell realizes the truth in his mind. His dead shipmates know that he's above them now, and they are calling out to him, right? Jimbo mentioned it before. They're in the hallway of the ship right outside of sick bay, and they're aboard the ship. They're in the mirror. They're haunting him, and we see this psychological collapse. Anything you guys want to comment on that part of the episode? I don't have any other questions.
This is like I said before, as I'm watching this episode, there's so many other different twists and different ways I wish this episode would have went. I think I'm going to save that for the end, but as I'm watching, I'm going, what is this? Why is it this happening? Why is that happening? And it's so repetitive. It's like, let's go down again. Let's hear Bell complain again. And he's haunted on the bed in the infirmary again.
Yeah.
It's just that so many scenes are repeated over and over again.
Definitely. So Bell, I think it's safe to say that he is consumed by survivor guilt, right? Insisting that he sank the boat. Beecham, the captain, argues that Bell made a mistake, but it didn't doom the submarine. But Bell just can't accept the absolution.
And I do think that was a really good talk between the captain and Bell there, when he's like, look, we all make mistakes. It's not on you alone. You know what I mean? That he was trying to console him that, hey, it wasn't your fault. It could have happened to any one of us. We're out here all alone, so on and so forth.
Yeah, I thought the captain, he showed a measure of compassion, right? Early in the episode, because he asked Bell when they're in his quarters, like, hey, have you gone to sick bay? He was really giving him the business up until that point. Yeah. And he goes, have you gone to sick bay? And he's like, no. And then his whole demeanor kind of changed. He's like, I care about all the guys on my ship. I want to make sure they're, so I thought that was a good.
Yeah, he is my favorite character.
Yeah, he was very good. So let's move to Act 3. And it's like the climax of the episode, right? And Bell puts, I don't remember this in the episode, but I guess he put on the dog tag. I do remember this part. He breaks free from the crew and he runs on the deck and he leaps into the sea shouting, they're calling muster on me, which I don't know what that means. And I looked it up, I think, and I forget what that phrase means. They're calling muster on me. I don't know. Maybe you guys can look that up. I forget. I neglected to write down what that means, but I think it's a military term, but I'm not sure. So the search effort continues to fail, and then of course Bell's body is never found once he jumps in, and there are bodies inside the submarine, which leads me to what I said before. The payoff is terrible because there are no shots. You wait the whole episode to find out this great big reveal or the twist, and there's no twist, right? The Twilight Zone twist consists of McClure going down, and they finally get in. And he says that the periscope shears were broken off, and that was the metallic sound that you were hearing banging against the side of the hull. But was it really? Because one of the dead sailors who they discovered inside the submarine was clutching onto a hammer. So,
oh my goodness, that's crazy.
So was it a hammer?
I did find out what calling muster means.
Oh, please tell us.
Okay, so this sounded familiar when I heard it. And it's because when Rose and I went on a cruise a couple years ago, I remember them referring to calling muster. It's like a roll call. It's like everybody goes to a designated area and you do like a roll call, like all hands on deck kind of thing.
Okay.
So calling muster is like when you call everybody together and go, okay, is everybody here? Is anybody missing? And I think that's what they were doing. The ghosts were calling muster, calling him to that roll call.
Okay.
You know? But I remember we had to do that when we went on a cruise. They had a calling muster where everybody had designated zones. All the passengers had designated zones in case of an emergency. They could do a.
So was that like a daily thing that you had to do, or was it?
We did it like once.
Oh,
I mean, I'm assuming if there's like somebody missing or somebody reported missing, they would probably do it again. But we had to do it once. I think it's like one of those maritime laws. You have to do it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So again, just to revisit the dead sailor, he's clutching the hammer. Well, we don't get any camera shot on him. We have a Rod Serling style closing. And so the question is, was the sound mechanical or a call from the past? Did Bell jump in because of madness or because of his duty, right? He was being called, as Bond said, to muster, so he had to make roll call. We don't know. Some guilt is, Rod says, once submerged, it still finds a way to surface in the Twilight Zone. So, any final comments? I'm getting no.
Well, I don't have comments, but I'm going to talk a little bit about something.
Yep, go ahead.
Once again, Rod Serling did do his due diligence. He actually did consult Navy contacts. He wanted to make the ship's dialogue, and procedures sound authentic to what you would actually see if you were on the ship or something. And, we've seen this before in the episodes of like King 9 Will Not Return comes to mind. What was that one with the dinosaur, the Odyssey of Flight, 33, I think. So, and with Rod serving in the military, he wanted to make sure things were done right. You can obviously see that. So his attention to detail was pretty cool. I did find out that Chief Bell and Captain Beecham, they both died just weeks after the destroyer used in shooting was decommissioned in 1983.
Yep.
Some fans are a little freaked out by it, or is it just a coincidence, right? And here's something that they didn't even discuss, and it came to my mind. I want to know what you guys think. The tapping that they hear, how come none of them suggested, is it Morse code?
I don't know.
That's what I thought it was.
That's what
the first couple times I heard it.
Just like ting, ting, ting.
I was waiting for like the SOS, right?
That's what I said. I said, well, that's kind of interesting. But they and here's something else. If he's in the water trying to beat that with a hammer, is they really going to pick up that much sound? Or not the guy on the outside with the force of the water and everything trying to knock on the inside.
Oh, you're talking about McClure, the diver, when he's beating on the outside. Oh, I see.
So that's just something else that came to my mind.
Well, I think that sound travels better underwater, doesn't it?
But are you going to get the force down to hit it though? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it'd be like super slow motion.
When I'm trying to swim,
the resistance of the
enough
water
force to make a noise loud enough for them to hear. I don't know. Just purely my observations.
Yeah. I gotta. Sorry,
I think here's something else that would have been crazy. Okay, imagine this. Imagine the diver goes into the water and he goes in and he goes inside the submarine. Remember at the end, he goes inside the submarine. Imagine if the guy holding the hammer was actually the chief. Mind blown, right?
I know. We got robbed. That's what I'm saying. We got robbed from this.
I'm just saying, can you imagine the payoff?
Oh, I know. It'd be great.
Right.
I agree. So,
or if even the dog tags, what if the dog tags he found were the chief?
Right.
Yeah.
So the dog tags he did find were the chief, right?
They were Bells.
Yeah, they were the Chiefs.
Yeah.
So, there was also a radio adaptation of this, I think in 2000 early. I might have that somewhere unless I gave them all to Eric. But it'd be interesting to hear that, see if it's changed anything. But that's just some of the stuff that I found. So,
a question was asked earlier. So a fathom originally was measured by a man's outstretched arm, and later was standardized as 6 feet in the Universal English System. Therefore, the title translates to 180-foot grave. So there you go, 180 feet down. Which there's another piece of trivia that coincides with that, and I'll have to find it. Maybe it's a little bit further down. But this is interesting. Mike Kellen, portraying the main character Chief Bell, died on August 26, 1983. Simon Oakland, who portrayed the captain, died 3 days later on August 29, 1983. Like, I think Jimbo touched on that. So they died within 3 days of each other. The ship used for the exterior shots in the episode, it was actually decommissioned on August 11th, 1983. Let's see. American submarines were present in the area. It says no American submarines were present in the area on August 7th. That was the date that they found the ship. And according to the USN Order of Battle campaign, no American submarines participated at all in any of the battle in the Guadalcanal, I guess. So Mike Kellen, who plays Chief Bell, he actually was a lieutenant commander in the U.S. Navy during World War II. So I think that rank, lieutenant commander, he was like 2 ranks under the captain. I think that's how that worked. Here's the trivia I was looking for, and then you guys can jump in with any other thoughts that you have. So this guy named Ralph Nelson, he got the ball rolling with the production by making arrangements with the U.S. Navy to film on board a real naval destroyer, which is the strong point of this whole episode, right? This is the cinematography, really, on board and the exterior shots. They didn't use just like basic shots. They actually used a real vessel. So he paid a personal visit to the destroyer that was stationed in the harbor in mid-June of 1962, and he had a couple of meetings with the local Navy, the Public Information Office, I guess. So this guy, Ralph Nelson, he relayed all of his information to Rod Serling to make the technical corrections. So in the original script, a frogman or a scuba diver, they could not talk back and forth to the ship. Do you guys remember that in the episode where they were talking back by radio back and forth on the ship? Well, I guess a regular frogman, which is what Rod wrote, couldn't do that. So they had to change that in the script, and they substituted it with the diver with the hard helmet, and the canvas suit like the guy wears in the episode.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And this would require an air hose for supply of oxygen and air equipment on deck. And he could, when a guy wears that suit, I guess he could talk back and forth to the central command on the boat. So Serling made those changes to make it more realistic, I guess. So I thought that was kind of cool because apparently by Navy regulation, you could only go down 135 feet. In an extreme emergency, they could go to 190 feet, but only for 5 minutes at that time. So you got to think this is like 1960 or whatever. So I think it's a little different now, but I thought it was kind of cool inside baseball type stuff when it comes
Maybe
to
that's why he had to go down so many times, because he can only stay down 5 minutes at a time.
Maybe.
So he went all the way down, looked around for 5 minutes, had to come back up.
Yeah.
And then went back down 5 more minutes and came back up.
All right. So questions, observations, spin the wheel. I don't know who's first this week. One of you guys go ahead and tell me your overall thoughts.
I think I went first last week.
Yeah. Jimbo, go ahead, and then I'll go, and then I'll give Bond the last word.
Cool.
Like I said, I think this episode would be better as a half-hour episode. I think they did the same thing just about 4 times, but just different each time, especially going back and diving again. Now, the guy was over. Chief Bell's acting was over the top, insanely over the top. It drove me batty. I wanted to jump in the ocean myself while I was watching this. But I don't understand why the doctor didn't say anything about, hey, I found this seaweed on the floor. It's never mentioned in the episode again. That could prove that this guy literally isn't crazy, that somebody could have been aboard the ship. So I was like, I don't understand. I mean, he's a medical doctor, patient, doctor confidentiality, whatever. But that just bothered me a lot too. Again, I think it'd be worked better as a half-hour segment. The dialogue between the captain and Chief Bell, I thought were great. I'm surprised Eric didn't pull up the audio to put that in there. I think that would have been a great audio to add. But for me, this episode is probably even worse than the one we watched last week. The premise was better than the one we got last week, but the episode fell short for me. So for me, I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 10. So that's my ratings review. Bond, let's have it.
Oh, Bond gets
ADZ is up.
Yeah, Bond gets the last word. So I'll give my review, and then after Bond gives his review, we're going to do a preview of next week's episode. So hopefully these episodes get a little bit better in season 4. So when Bond's done with his, I'll play that. For my review, I think I focus more on the moral responsibility and the guilt that he feels can almost be like a death sentence in itself. I like that aspect of the episode. If I'm going to start with the pros, the other pro to this episode was we mentioned already, the cinematography and the fact that they used real naval ships and they worked with the United States Navy. I think that's pretty cool. And they got a lot of cool shots, I think. The authenticity, I guess, of the episode is one of the pros. The payoff is a con. The acting is a con. The fact that it just, I don't know. The fact that they stretched it to an hour again, I'll retouch on that again. I think there are a lot of scenes that were inserted that just felt like filler, and that made a difference. For me, again, this is a worse episode than episode 1, in my opinion, as well. And I give last week's episode, I think it was like a 7-something. I'm going to give this probably like a 5.5, just because the tink on the side of the ship. I mean, I don't know, that just bore into my brain and just really, it gave me nightmares. So I feel for Bell, but I don't know, his acting, he's got to work on it. So I don't know. I don't really have much more to say about it. It wasn't the worst episode I've ever seen. Again, to try to give this context, but it's not going to be anywhere near the top episodes in the Twilight Zone. Bond?
Here in Corpus Christi, we have the Blue Ghost. The Blue Ghost is a huge aircraft carrier, the USS Lexington, and it is so fun to go on. It's decommissioned. It's grounded, so you could go on there. They have planes. You could see the mess hall. You could see where the sailors got like their hair cut. There was a post office on board. You could see where they slept. It's really cool to go on there. I mean, it's a local attraction for tourists, and even I still love going to check it out every time. It's so much fun. So this episode had a great advantage there going in. Is like, I like those kind of things. Like you said, the on-location stuff was great. The fact that they were able to get in there. That being said, the whole time I was hoping that the ship was a child's toy in a bathtub.
Oh, that would have been cool.
Great.
So when you hear the bang, bang, banging sound, I was like, oh yeah, that's like the little chain
kid
of the drain or something.
Oh, yeah.
It's a kid playing. And so I thought for sure when he was going to go down and dive the first time, we were going to get a clue, some kind of clue, but we weren't sure what it was. It was just another toy, or, maybe it was like the kid's feet or something, just an extreme close-up. And so I thought for sure, it's just a toy. This is just a toy battleship in a bathtub. And then maybe like there's going to be like the soap suds come in. They're like, there's a mysterious fog coming. No, that didn't happen. So I was kind of disappointed about that. And then I thought a better ending would have been, what if he thinks it's the ghost, end it the same way, but then the very, very last scene, you see a guy and he's stuck in like the mess hall food locker, you know what I'm saying? Like where they lock up the cold storage stuff. Yeah. That's how he's been able to survive. For like this
20 years he's been,
he's been in there. He's got this long beard and he's got this hammer and he's just pounding away. He's kind of like insane, but he's still pounding away at the door, hoping somebody someday hears him.
Man,
nope, that wasn't the ending either.
That was great. So, we should build a time machine and send you back to 1962 so that you can write the ending.
But I really thought it was a toy. I really thought it was a toy battleship, and I was like, man, that stinks that it wasn't.
Yeah.
That being said, this episode's just okay. There's so much potential, and some of the actors were really good. And it was nice seeing the Incredible Hulk, back in his military days. I thought that was nice, but it was the main actor that just was so bad. It was distracting. He was kind of like the little boy who was from Mexico, and his acting was so distracting in that episode.
Yeah.
Was the Gift? Is that what it was called?
The Gift.
Yeah.
His acting was so distracting in that one, it took away. I thought Belle's acting in this one was the same way, where it was over the top, and it was just distracting at times. I'm going to give this episode a 5.5 right there. I don't know how IDBM gave it like a 7 point anything, but I think it's 5.5.
What about this as an ending? Do you remember, like in Star Wars, like at the end of Return of the Jedi, when Luke looks out and there's the ghost figures, right?
Yeah.
And Yoda and Obi-Wan. What if at the end, you have the captain overlooking the bridge and, he's like, well, we got to move on. And then have the camera pan down into the ocean and have all the guys together on their submarine.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Like in muster, right? Like all together.
Right, like a call to muster.
Like a call to muster at the very end. And then you see Belle, and Belle's with him.
Right. That's what I'm saying. They welcome him into their
Yeah, they welcome him in. Now it's over. They can all rest.
So,
yeah.
I don't know.
Can't believe both of you guys forgot this. So I get to choose my prop piece.
Oh, man.
We both forgot. And I wasn't going to say anything on purpose because I wanted the helmet, the diver's helmet.
Oh, yeah.
The big metal diver's helmet. I've always loved those things because they're so awkward. I don't know how you lift your neck or move your neck on those things. So I will take the diver's helmet as my prop piece.
I'll take the hammer that I never saw in the episode.
Well, I want the sign. There's a sign that hangs like when you first see it, says something about diving is dangerous or something. I don't remember what it says. I said, I'm going to take that as my prop piece. Then I forgot to write down what it said.
Yeah. All right. Good stuff. Let's catch a preview of next week's episode. Hopefully we can make a move in the right direction.
Next on Twilight Zone, a marvelously exciting excursion into a very strange place called Valley of the Shadow. It comes from the probing mind of Mr. Charles Beaumont. And whether you're a science fiction buff, a fantasy lover, or just needful of some escape, this one should fill most of your requirements.
I thought you told me my car was going to be repaired.
Please sit down.
I don't want to sit down. I want to know why nothing's been done to my car, why it's just sitting out there.
Primarily because you won't be needing it anymore.
Oh, no? Well, why?
Because you are never going to leave Peaceful Valley.
Wait a minute. Sure, I think I got this thing figured out.
Oh?
Well, sure. Peaceful Valley is a town full of lunatics, and you guys had the list. Now, what do you mean I'm not ever going to be able to leave here?
Because, Mr. Redfield, you stumbled upon the best-kept secret in the world.
All right, Jimbo, take us home.
Well, I don't know about you, but I can't wait for that next episode. It sounds intriguing.
That
does.
sounds good.
But so did this one before I watched it. Okay, so, well, if you want to follow us, we are the Tragedy of Cinema Podcast. You can reach us on Facebook. ADZ's on there. Bond's on there. I'm on there. We have a lot of fun in there. But if you like what you heard, you can leave us a review, rate us. Bond will read it on the air, maybe even ADZ.
I heard we're big in Japan these days.
Yeah, that's what I heard. So salutes to the person that downloaded at least 255 episodes over there. So
Okay.
If you want to tell us who you are, reach out to us, send us an email at thetragedycinema@gmail.com. That's kind of how I found Bond, because we didn't think he existed either. So maybe we'll have you on the show and get your thoughts and feelings on here too. But with that being said, I think this episode's coming to a close, and that's a wrap.
And
Cut.
So rest in peace, Chief Bell. I think it's your due now.
Small naval engagement. The month of April, 1963. Not to be found in any historical annals. Look for this one filed under H for haunting in the Twilight Zone.